I'm not a ranger yet, but I will be in the future.
Once a ranger,
Always a ranger.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Once a Ranger. I'm Minhas, and I'm joined by Nick, Nuv, and Akil. And today we're going to be talking about episode 12 and 13, starting with Power Ranger Punks.
Yes, I'm so excited. This was really fun to watch. I think after last episode, I Googled Power Ranger Punks, and I was like, what are these outfits? That was the first image that showed up.
They look really good, though. Kimberly, especially, because she's still wearing her gymnastic tights underneath, and she just wore a leather jacket over it, which I thought was interesting. And then as well, Billy he ripped his jean jacket. So I like how it's their clothes, just air quotes punkified.
Yeah.
And it's funny how they use synonymous punk and evil, even though punk is a whole different genre of its own thing, but they're no, punk is bad. And they don't even talk about the actual punk stuff.
No,
I think
punk is
90s,
just teenagers that suck.
Yeah.
I think in the 90s it was slang for kids who are rowdy. I think there's just a generational disconnect there. Because if you watch old shows, you'd be like, you punks or whatever, those kid punks. You'll hear that term thrown around. So this is where the disconnect happens, because it means something different now.
Degenerates.
Degenerates.
But it was used by everybody too. That's what was so interesting, because even Babu or someone called them punks, and then Alpha said they've
Babu
gone
made
punk.
the punk potion.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Alpha was like, they've gone punk. And I was like, what does that mean, really?
They use it synonymous with evil.
Right.
When the potions do make you evil, and that makes you a punk.
But a very specific evil where you bully people and get real horny, I guess.
Yeah,
but not towards each other. They're still friends with each other.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're both evil.
Punks gotta stick together.
Yeah, I was half expecting them to kind of bicker with each other as well, but no, they're excited. They're best friends. They're yeah, we're gonna tear up the town. It's just
there's a point where Billy grabs Kimberly by the back of the neck and they walk off together laughing, and I'm like, that was a weird thing to do.
Yeah, it's Vulcan skull essentially.
Yeah. I think I want to give props to Babu, who just took the initiative on this one. He's just I got a plan.
So far.
And I'm gonna execute it, and he seems so successful. He he was unmatched. He executed his plan perfectly.
He took Rita's unicycle.
The kids were playing
work initiative.
Yeah, they were all playing volleyball, and he's like, I'm gonna drug their drinks. Don't drug people's drinks. PSA. But it was they executed it so flawlessly. Yeah. And then he they come back, and then they're like, yeah, I did it. I don't need recognition though. And then
Rita's a planet or an asteroid.
Yeah, and then Rita's like, all right, let's get a monster now. It's like, do you have to include a monster with every plan?
Yeah.
That is an aspect for
there's one hiccup in his plan, and that was Billy. So technically Billy is the hero of this episode.
Yeah.
Because in his original berserker moment, I guess, when he drank the potion, he knocked all the other waters off the table.
Yes.
So if Babu had turned all of the Power Rangers into punks, they would have won for sure.
That is true.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see them all be punks. I wanted to see each of their outfits in punk potion. But going to the beginning of the episode, before they even turn into punks, I know I sound like a Kimberly hater, but Kimberly will always be a punk in my heart, because she just feels like she's always teasing Billy, so that even when she's genuine, it sounds sarcastic. So Billy falls to the ground, and she goes, "You're getting better." Does it sound mean?
No,
it didn't sound mean to me.
I did question if she was
on
being
the ground.
serious or not. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just Kimberly, especially in the passage, she's always mean to Billy. She's like, this is not how you get girls, blah, blah, blah. I just associate with her teasing Billy. I'm like, you're already halfway there.
it's just an odd time to say that. Like, it wasn't like he hit the ball and like got a point. It was when he messed up. It's like, you're getting better. It's like, what?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm clearly failing, and you're telling me I'm getting better. That I was questioning that too. I was like, did she mean that? It was very confusing.
I feel like they just don't know how to write Kimberly. It's just like, this is what a teenage girl says, and then this is clearly like they think like a teenage girl is like sassy. And but like maybe she's just trying to be friend. I don't know. Like sometimes she just says things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get it. Like she's a wild card, that one.
She is a wild card. And Trini's different than her. So I think they were trying to have this kind of archetypal characters for Kimberly and Trini. But you're right, Nick. It was very odd because sometimes she's really sweet and sometimes she's really mean.
Yeah.
And I think she's supposed to be like the cool girl, but she can't be a mean girl because she's a Power Ranger, but she is a mean girl. Like she's so mean to Billy.
Yeah.
But you know what, Nick? I was on your side with the Trini Jason thing this episode.
Yes, come on.
Because like that putty fight scene, like he like holds her, and then not only do they zoom in on it, they replay the hold. Like it was like double, and I'm like, oh, they really focused in on this. And as soon as the fight was over, he like runs to her. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "All right, Nick, I'll give it to you."
Truly, this is a pairing made in heaven. This is the best. This is the best pairing. I thought it was just really funny to see them together, and I'm like, oh, they're on the team. Of course, they're winning. Yeah. I could spot this a mile away. Yeah. But it was also speaking of Jason, when the teenagers turned like when Billy and Kimberly turned punk. I thought Jason was just gonna like beat one of them up. It's like he did not like getting confronted like that. Like you could see it in his face. He's like, "Well, what are you about to say next? Say something else. Just say something else."
This isn't even the first time, because if you remember in the previous episode when Bulk pushed his chair, he looked like he was about to really knock him unconscious. We know now Jason has a little bit of anger issues, and he has to really try hard to hold it back. But you know what? He did it. He held back.
Oh, okay. Comic book trivia. There is in Go-Go Power Rangers, it is revealed that Jason was a bully before. So he does have like this. He was a bully like when he was in grade school, and the reason he's like trying to be a better person is because he realizes that he's a bad person. That's why he trains so hard. So maybe that's why he has this like underlying like, aggression to him, and he loses patience enough. Not enough to like do anything, but like he's getting there.
I think it's also because he has the ability to literally do whatever. Like he's so he's so physically imposing because he's like this martial arts expert. He could literally do whatever he wants, and who would stop him? Really, who would stop him?
Yes.
So I think he like has to control that. He's like, oh, I could just rock this guy in the jaw. Maybe I should though. So, and I think that's what makes it so interesting when Tommy comes along, especially, which I won't get too much into, but like their relationship is pretty interesting because there's that camaraderie, but also that competitiveness because no one else, like Jason, otherwise is unmatched. So. Right.
Yeah. I also have feelings on that, which we'll get to when we get to it. They're not negative or positive. I just have feelings about it. Mm-hmm. But going back to this episode, this is the first that we really see the beginnings of Skull's crush on Kimberly. And not to spoil it too much, Akil, it's a thing that is a continuous thing that happens between them. It kind of is his little, and I like that, this little aspect they added with Skull because it kind of makes him really sweet. He kind of goes about it in the wrong way because he did show up in his, and you do see in later, he gets better at it, but he shows up in his little suit and he's so excited for this date. And Kimberly goes, ew.
Yeah.
It's like, Kimberly.
That's so sad. I was like, oh
so
man.
Mean.
This one isn't even, it's not even his fault this time. I was like, dang. He was really ready for that.
He brought flowers.
Yeah, man.
Like, he undeserved, I feel like. I just felt really bad for him. And you know what? It gets worse later. Like, Kimberly never treats him nicely.
Yeah.
Even when he's being nice. Again, that's a little bit of spoilers, Akil. Like the Skull and Kimberly relationship is like one of my favorite things. I don't know why. I just like it. It's so cute and off to the side, and it makes Skull a little bit more personable.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, knowing that, that changes from our last podcast episode, that incident that he had with Trini then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was like a
wow.
one-off thing. He's never been like
Mhm.
that after either. Like as the seasons progress, Bulk and Skull actually get nicer.
Oh, good for
Yeah.
them.
They become a little bit. I
Damn.
don't know what the purpose was originally
Mhm.
for them, because like they become like kind of endearing like
Yeah.
towards the end. Like they're not friends with them per se, but they're still like they're more like
Allies.
wholesome. Yeah, they're like more wholesome in their purpose of doing things than
Yeah.
just showing up and just trying to mess with everybody. Like they have like ambitions and goals, and then like
Mhm.
it's like I don't know if it was like every season they had like a different odd job, or like they had like a different purpose every single time.
There's
Yeah.
different purpose
Um,
every season. They have the most character development of any of these
Yeah.
Rangers or
the Rangers.
characters, honestly, over the course of 6 seasons, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a long time, but you
Yeah.
have to, right? And I like that a lot too, because then, especially if canonically Jason was a bully, and then there's hope for Bulk and Skull. And I think in these episodes, you're actually starting to see them get less bullying already. In this episode, they're not being jerks in the beginning, and still they have stuff fall on them, and
Yeah.
it starts
Mhm.
to get sad almost.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, these guys aren't even doing anything." I mean, sometimes it's deserved and sometimes it's not. And today it wasn't. And again, they're like the Rangers are laughing at them.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, like, no wonder they're mean all the time. You are
Yeah.
also mean.
Kale, do you have any like first watcher thoughts on this episode?
On this
Like-
episode, aside from Punk Kimberly just teaching me a lot about Akel that I didn't know before.
Wow.
No, I'm confused by this monster. So like I don't know if we want to skip ahead to the monster. I have a
We
few
can
other
skip
thoughts
ahead
as
to the
well.
monster.
Yeah,
What
But-
have you?
So usually with the monster, we get the rundown from Zordon, and he's like, "This is what the monster does. This is how you defeat the monster." And he mentioned that there's a weak spot in the neck, and that's how you defeat the monster.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But then Kimberly just kind of blows him up with an arrow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did they not use the neck, or
I think it went into the neck. I think
Yeah,
that's
there was-
what.
She shot like
no?
3
It went
arrows.
into his mouth.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, there was a shot.
right.
There was a shot where there were like 3 arrows that went into
Yeah.
him.
Okay,
I saw her pull 1, but 3 entered his jugular.
sure.
I will support Akil in this in Zordon's lack of delivery of information,
Oh no, I agree.
because
Yeah.
he definitely, if he knows that this is the monster's weakness, why
Yeah.
did he not tell the other 3 before they went?
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like he gives this whole exposition about this this plant, which first off he showed a video to these teenagers. He's like, check how cool I was. Like, look at how cool I am when I go get this singing plant.
Yeah.
He didn't even use the singing part of the plant,
No,
which I thought
No. You use the sap.
Right?
it
Why
seems
did
like
it
so.
sing?
It seems so ridiculous. Like they're punk people, right? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
they could have put like punk music and like,
Right.
oh yeah, singing plant. You know,
Singing
maybe that could have solved their problem. Like, now you gotta eat it. I was like, all right,
Okay.
the whole point of this thing singing doesn't matter
That's
then.
cool.
Like,
Right, like you think it would destroy the frog or something.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
actually had 2 thoughts on this monster as well. No,
Mhm.
1 thought on the monster, 1 thought on Zordon. So these connect.
Okay.
This is the first time we really see Zordon as a warrior, and
Yeah.
he's wearing something similar
Yes.
to a kind of ninjetti outfit, which is a type of
Mhm.
Power Ranger later,
Mhm.
Akil. And it kind of really goes back to Nuv talking about how Zordon and Rita were probably Power Rangers in the past.
Yeah.
And then they had, especially in the 2017 movie where they really honed that in.
Mhm.
So it was kind of nice to see his human form as a warrior. But
Mhm.
also, they called Zordon green, and I thought he
Yeah.
was blue.
Yeah, multiple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. I
noted that too. I was like, what green are you seeing?
it might have been I don't know how long production went in like how they did they ever see the episodes before they aired them?
Right.
You know? So
yeah,
maybe they
sure,
didn't
it's
even
like
know that he was like, well, also these videos are old, right?
Right.
So I don't even like, I was thinking like, okay, you can make an argument. Maybe he's like turquoise.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like bluish green. But I also
The
remember like
corners are green, like where he
Yeah.
glows, but most of it's blue.
But I also remember the marketing for Power Rangers, especially like around season 3 or 4. There's a lot of green like in the packaging and the retro when they like re-release the episodes like on VHS. It's like everything is green. In this like emerald green. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can believe that Zordon was green. And then I think back to the movie and I was like, no, he was blue in that
He was
movie.
blue.
He was blue
I
in that
definitely
movie.
remember him being blue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did they say that because he's a green screen? Like, is that a joke?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I was like, are
Make
they all
a joke
colorblind?
about production while you're filming it.
Are the Power Rangers colorblind? Are they all colorblind? Do they not know?
Maybe.
They could be.
Maybe. They think
Oh, that's so funny.
they don't know what color their clothes are.
That's
It's
true.
just by
Maybe.
accident that they wear the same color.
Maybe that's
so
why
funny.
they all just buy the same
Yeah.
shade of clothing. They're like,
Yeah.
this is all I know, so this is all I get.
That's so
but,
funny.
but going back to Zordon, and like, so he knows all about these monsters because he's fought them before.
Mhm.
He knows all about the potion. He knows how to cure the punk potion.
Mhm.
He also has video of Babu spiking their drinks with punk potion
Yeah.
and waited presumably an entire day to actually tell the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Because they're playing volleyball, then they split up, then they meet up again at school, and they're wearing different outfits. So I'm assuming that's like
That's true.
a day has passed.
That's true.
I feel
in
like
my headcanon, he doesn't. It's him researching.
It's
Like he
him
has to like
researching.
Yeah.
he has to like hack into whatever the morphing grid or whatever and get access to that information by
And
the
get
time.
the security
But-
footage of that picnic table.
I don't
Yeah.
think he's like as like all omnipotent as like
Yeah.
as I remember him to
Mm.
be. I thought
Mhm.
like Zordon just knows everything.
Yeah.
But like it's if he does know everything, he doesn't tell anybody everything at the same time. And I'm like, you're not helping
That's fair.
anybody
That's
sometimes.
As a first time watcher, I'm pretty sure Zordon knows exactly 3/4 of what he needs to know.
That's fair. He does know most things, I would say. I feel like, and like the last bit, he figures out pretty quickly because of the show format. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
we don't know. They go fight a little, and it's like, oh, I figured it out. I was like, oh yeah, great.
It could be a dimensional warp thing as well, right?
Yeah, he was just like, I found a gap in the dimensional. What?
Dimensional
You
warp.
just-
I was like,
Just did a quick Google search. I don't like how did you find that?
He had his scanners up the whole time. We didn't even know.
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
lot more dimensional travel in
There
this
is.
season than I remember.
It's like almost every episode. And another
Yeah.
thing with these monsters. So I noticed obviously that Rita used them in the past,
Yep.
but Finster is still making them. So is this because they like it's like clay, like you know when you make a pot and then you put it back in the water and it's clay
Mhm.
again? Do they do that with the monsters like pottery?
I think it's just like a
No.
blueprint he uses or something.
Yeah,
I don't
he just
know.
makes-
Yeah.
He
Well,
might
happens to
makes
the
the
other
same
monster. He was
monster out of
successful,
different
did
clay.
get decommissioned.
It's not
Oh.
really. I don't remember. I don't
Yeah.
know the actual answer to this one. I think I always thought it was just like, yeah, they used this idea before, so like
Yeah.
they'll just use it again,
Right.
because it worked. Because I
Yeah.
think Rita comes from like a family of just invaders. Like
Yes.
that's all they do. They just invade. So it's like, yeah, we did this to solve that problem on that planet. Like, it'll work out here.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough.
And
This is the second time they use an eating monster.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yes,
this
I was gonna
time-
say that. Yeah.
Yeah. This time it eats the Rangers, and
Yeah.
apparently he has room inside for Jason. Me too. Sorry.
It was yeah, I remember when we talked about the Pudgy Pig, I brought up the Toad because I remember the distinctly like the images of the Rangers on its stomach. Like that's
yeah,
just like
great
very,
feature, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very iconic to me. I'm just like, oh, the Ranger helmet is like put on the stomach to show that they have eaten that
Yeah.
Ranger. I'm just like, it just looks it's engaging visually.
It is.
But I did find it weird that for two of the Rangers, he beams them into
Yeah.
consumption, and the other he literally like swallows
Eats
them.
them.
Well, he wanted to savor
Yeah.
Jason. Jason was Jason
Yeah, I
was
know.
the one he
He's like,
wanted.
Jason, I have
You made room
ruined
for him
time
every
for
I need
you.
this one. This is what I want.
Yeah. But yeah,
I
he
actually canceled.
reaches out with like a laser tongue and turns them into pink orbs. And
Yes.
then he also eats. I
Man.
did not understand that.
Oh man. What else about this month? Okay, the fact that it's another like huge appetite monster. That's all Zordon says. He's got a huge appetite. I was like, okay, we did this already. Like this isn't anything new. Rita made it sound like it was this brand new thing, and it's not. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Except kind of opposite because Pudgy Pig ate everything except the Rangers, and this one ate only the Rangers. So it's kind of like they were like, I guess, puzzle pieces that fit together, or one's a donut, one's a donut hole kind of
both
thing.
of them.
If she released both of them at the same time, she would have won.
She would have won.
Another
they
thing,
also.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say another thing is, so I'm like mixed on this because the Rangers are busy, right? The two are still punks. The three Rangers are fighting, or they're caught by this point. So Zordon sends Alpha to this dimensional gap to get the squash, and like the putties come. And he literally just puts up his defense, wrecks them, and then walks back. And I was like, why? Yeah. Why do the Rangers even exist if Alpha could just literally wreck 5 putties?
Alpha's secretly a sleeper. That's in the current arc of the comics. Like Alpha switches sides. I don't know if it's like through. I don't know if it's like through reprogramming or whatever. But that guy's a monster.
Right.
These
I don't know what
comics sound wild.
No, the comics are wild. Like he swaps sides, and now he's like a Power Ranger hunter murderer right now. He's insane. Like
Finster's wild in the comics, but
Finster's also wild.
But I was just like, why isn't Alpha like the first to go out when there's like an attack? Because clearly Alpha can handle itself pretty well. It was like 5 putties.
It was the roots that killed the monster. Like Alpha put on his defense.
Yeah, they touched him and he electrocuted them.
Yeah,
he said interior defenses activate, which is like. Shouldn't it be exterior? Because it's, I don't know. He said interior defense.
No, his exterior defense is guns.
Yes.
I totally misread that seed because what I saw was they touched him and then he was holding the root and the root sung and that's
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
So in the flashback, that's what happened.
But that's what happened with Alpha as well.
Yeah. The roots dismissed the putties, but like the shock thing is what got him off. Was what allowed him to grab it in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're both right.
Yeah,
it was
we're both right. Everyone's right.
Scene.
It was kind of. I mean, other than needing it, I guess for the potion it was kind of pointless. I was just like, okay, this is like a weird
Why didn't he
side
use
quest.
that root thing on the frog though? Like. Wasn't that how he defeated? That's how Zordon defeated him originally.
Why didn't Babu just kill them? Like, why didn't Babu just like poison them?
Was there with I don't. Why did Zordon know this squash had the ability to cure them? That I don't
used
know.
it before.
But
I think on who?
It's a new potion, right?
I think it was just an excuse he wanted to show the teenagers this cool video that he did. Like,
Who knows?
I don't know.
Like he's used it. He's gotten it before. He knows how the potion works and he knows how to cure it. So like, he's
so was
had
there
to
a
deal with
punk rock Zordon
before.
somewhere? Like, was there?
Yeah.
Like, who did he cure?
This implies that Zordon had a punk phase,
or his friends. I don't know, something weird.
Yeah.
But
That's
when Akil, I thought of you when Billy says we just need to transpose ourselves, and Kimberly's like, "You mean switch sides?"
Yeah. And while she's saying that, he spins over to the other side. So like, you didn't even have to say it in the first place.
It also doesn't work. It also didn't do anything. They switched sides and still got hit. And so I was like,
no, he said he could use, what could he use? He's like, I could use my whatever weapon if we transpose ourselves.
Oh, okay.
So I think he just needed more elbow room or something, or less elbow room.
Well, what was so funny is that he was so confident and then he got eaten. That was hilarious.
That's like Billy doing his classic running head first into situations. He did this at the carnival episode as well.
Yes.
Where it's like Billy You're supposed to be smarter than everyone.
Right.
Like, please get it together.
And then suddenly it was a Kimberly episode, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, she killed it. Like,
She did.
this is like her highlight. She just like poo poo poo. I don't even think any like 2 episodes in a row, no Zords.
Yes.
Good
I thought
point.
that was
Yeah.
interesting.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that the Power Rangers got a chance to show off a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really it's I always remember the classic formula. It's like there's the human problem, fight monster related to human problem, giant robot fight, human problem resolve. Like it's and
Yeah.
then like watching these episodes again and being like, it didn't happen every time.
Right.
It happens every time in all the other episodes, and it didn't happen this time. That's so
Mhm.
strange to me, like rewatching these episodes and like not remembering the way that I do.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to see, and I agree with Akil. It's kind of fun to see them not grow big. It's really funny, and obviously this isn't canon. I read a fan fiction a long time ago. Like, sorry.
Great way
I
to start a
It's okay. It's okay. Fine.
I read a Power Rangers fan fiction, and they were talking about specifically this one time their Zords were like decommissioned, and they had to fight a monster. And whoever they were talking to was like, "That doesn't make sense. Like, doesn't they already always grow the monster?" And the Rangers were like, "No, we crushed that monster into a powder. We didn't let any reminiscence of that monster exist." And I'm like, "Whoa, fan fiction writer." This is serious business.
This guy-
Like, where did you come up with this
He was
idea?
prepared. They were prepared. They were like,
Yeah.
"We have the answer. I'm not writing a giant monster fight. I have no idea how to explain this."
They crushed it. Now try to visualize that. Them
It's a
crushing
powder.
this monster to powder. Man, that was,
we
it was
don't
one of
have
my
to.
favorite.
That's
fan
part of the
fictions.
next episode.
Oh,
That's
well, the ending for this episode, it was they were gonna go on a date and they didn't.
Yeah, and
that
they
makes me so
didn't.
upset.
It's sad. So
It
sad.
was. I felt really sad because both Kimberly, like, you know what, Trini is allowed to say ill. Trini has every right to say ill in this situation because
Yeah.
of their history and whatever. She didn't ask him out on the date, but Kimberly, come on,
Yeah, that
yeah.
was really messed up.
I was like, Kimberly, and it's like, did they remember or not?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think they did.
Yeah.
that's
There would have been like
confusing.
an aside that's like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
It happens
Yeah.
again. Okay, sorry, Akil. It happens
Yeah.
again later. She's like, "What was I doing with Skull?" And I'm like, "How many times are you gonna like almost date this guy?"
Yeah,
Not remembering. It's so brutal and like
It's
Skull's
very
so
deep in her
devas-
subconscious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he gets more and more devastated each time as well. Just sad. He's like, "What did I do? I'm just trying to like find love."
Oh, poor guy.
That's way later seasons.
I have something to say about this next episode about love.
All right, let's move into it. Let's go on to
Yeah.
the next episode.
I have one last thing about this
Okay.
episode about the costumes
Mhm.
because the punk outfits that they wore, and I was so confused. Like, this is stuff that they have at home, but where did Billy get this bandana from? Like, why does he have that?
Yeah.
And then in the next episode, he has it again. So I'm like, all right, full circle. We know about the bandana.
It just
Problem
it's just in his
solving
wardrobe,
writing.
and he has
Yeah,
these cool
right.
sunglasses.
Mhm.
Yes.
Sunglasses are always a theme. If you're evil, you have to wear sunglasses.
You have to wear sunglasses. Yeah.
But just
That
the
is the
worst
law.
ones.
They were.
These
They
are
were
actually the better ones. There's sometimes the sunglasses are not so good.
Mhm.
All right, let's get into Peace, Love, and War, episode 13. Kicking it right off with bodily gyration. Akil, once again, the weird
Okay.
weird way to say dancing.
Bodily
it sounds
gyrations.
Believe
Believe it or not, bodily gyrations is not the worst part of that sentence.
What was the
'Cause,
full
sure.
thing you said?
He says, I'm not interested in engaging feminine attention through bodily gyrations. So bodily gyrations, gross, right? Gender norms, gross. But the worst part is he is, though, because in episode 5, that's exactly what he did with Melissa.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what
Snooty
happened
Billy.
to Melissa? She seemed nice.
No idea.
So
His bodily gyrations weren't enough for her.
No.
Maybe they broke up and he's like, I'm never dancing again.
I also
Yeah.
think we can argue that he dances more than Zach, who's supposed to be known for dancing. I
Yeah.
think he dances
Yes.
a lot.
So
Mhm.
this episode is the start. I know, like, there was sort of a thing with that, but this is like the start of Billy having love interests that just disappear after like an episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a common thing that happens to Billy. He just can't find love for whatever reason. Even though this girl, they like made her an exact clone of Billy.
No,
Yes.
no. I got beef with that too.
Though we were Nick and I were talking about this before we started recording. Her acting was not great, especially her acting like
it was
Billy.
so
Her
cringy. It's
Billyisms
so
were
funny.
not Billy enough. David Yost at least sold the Billyisms
Yes.
and everything, and she just wasn't committing to it. It was very weird. Her facial expression. I was just
Yeah.
not feeling
Well,
it.
to
She was
me,
very, very surprised and robotic.
yeah.
Also, the writing.
I thought it was how she flirted.
Mm.
Because she's
It
all
could
like,
have been how she
"Oh,
flirted, just
I
like
dropped
big,
my
unblinking
necklace."
eyes and saying the worst words.
That's funny.
But she was written as like a book nerd, whereas
Mhm.
Billy is a science nerd. Like
Mm.
Billy says his fancy science words with multi-syllabic science words, and she's saying old words like from history. So I'm
Right.
just watching this and I'm like, these are not the same flavor of nerd. They're not going to get along.
That's why she left after this episode.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. That's why it felt weird to me when I was watching. I was like, wait, what's the difference here? I couldn't put my finger on it, but that is it. You're
They're
right.
different kinds of nerds.
She just starts speaking iambic pentameter, and Billy's like, "I'm not doing this.
Yeah,
This isn't
that's
it."
a capital idea.
He's like, what about my weather machine?
What about my weather machine? What about your weather machine? Oh, whoa.
Yeah. He's like,
So-
oh, I need
so-
some ideas about my weather machine. And she's like, yeah, let's talk about the weather. Like,
No. She says, okay, her delivery was off, but she pauses before she goes, discuss the weather. And I was like, is that supposed to
Yeah.
be like an innuendo? Like, I'm very
She's
confused.
flirting
it
throughout the
definitely
whole
is.
thing.
It definitely didn't work.
It didn't.
No,
I was
it's
like,
not.
what does discuss the weather imply? Like, I'm
Guys, I am on the complete opposite spectrum with you guys on this one. I saw that whole scene as like her flirting. It was so funny to me.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
think so.
I literally
I agree
love
with you.
this girl because she's like, I know what I want and I'm gonna get it. Like I meant, she's like, oops, I dropped my necklace, and then she reaches over, like she didn't just pick it up, right? And then
Right.
she
Yeah.
like, there's a couple of things also, like the way she talks, it's a little slower, it's more sultry. It's like she's not really talking to have the conversation, she's talking to engage Billy, and she's the one who asked him out. So she like, it's the interest is there in the beginning. So like to
Yeah.
me, that whole thing was like her flirting with Billy. It wasn't like trying to have a real conversation. She was trying to like seduce him.
Oh, yeah.
In her own way, and I love that. That's why she
Yeah.
talked weird. That's why
I'm
it was,
not
like,
I'm
those
not
pauses
disagreeing with
going
you.
on.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying that she was wrong and bad about it.
I didn't think she was bad. I thought she was successful.
I think,
She
yeah.
knew-
I mean, hey, she got what she wanted,
She
and
did.
they
She
both got what they
knew-
wanted.
Yeah, she knew the kind of man she wanted. She knew the kind of things that man would like, and she seduced him. Like,
She
and
did.
she got her date and her little dance date too. She was
okay.
successful.
I do want to bring up the rest of the gang because, like, they're like trying to encourage Billy to like bring somebody to the gang or bring somebody to the dance, and I think they were like bothering him so much about it, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, who are you guys bringing to the dance? Okay, like leave him alone. Okay, he doesn't want to go or he doesn't have a date. What have you guys done? Nothing. You guys just hang out with each other and then pick on Billy because he doesn't know how to talk to women. That's not fair.
You know why? This is fan fiction, by the way. It's because Trini wanted to go with Jason, Kimberly wanted to go with Zach, and they couldn't have Billy third
He's the
wheeling.
fifth
Oh,
This is fan fiction.
that would make sense.
But yeah, this is like the pre-Tommy era. So yeah,
Right,
Kimberly
right.
has a little flings with everybody in the squad.
But see, it just frustrated me watching it go down. I was like, God, you guys just pick on Billy just because he can't talk to women in your ideal world of the 90s where that's just socially acceptable. Like he just doesn't want to go do his own thing. Leave him alone. He wants to work on his
Right.
weather machine.
I'm convinced only Trini is nice to Billy. I'm convinced
Yeah.
everyone else is like kind of like a little bit mean to him, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
like Billy's Trini's friend, and then Trini's
Yeah.
friends with like everybody else. Which like that's kind of how they introduce their relationship, because Billy joins the karate class that Jason puts on in episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Like he's trying to learn how to
Fit in?
be,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Was he not part of the friend group before the Power Rangers?
I don't know.
Okay.
We don't know. Episode 1 started as Power Rangers, so
Yeah.
No, as far
It's
as
fan
we know, they're
fiction.
all friends. All 5 of them are friends. As far as we
Mhm.
know, like there was nothing.
We
At
know they're
least
friends.
there was nothing
now.
that indicated. No, but in episode 1, there was nothing that indicated that like Billy was
That they
just
weren't before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know how
But
close they
there
are
was-
is maybe that's up for debate.
Yeah.
But
like Zach and Jason are clearly close right off the bat. Kimberly and Trini are really close right off the bat. Trini and Zach are really close. Kimberly and Jason are really close. Zach and Kimberly, Billy and Trini, yes, and Billy and everyone else, no. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
much the dynamic we
Yeah.
have going on there. Very
Um,
complicated.
oh my
And
God,
there-
what was the-
This is another one of those episodes where, like, in episode 1, it was Zach, or not Zach, it was Jason, and now it's Zach, where they're like trying to bring him closer into the group and like share their own interests with him. And it's just not, it's
Oh,
not
yeah,
working.
that's fair.
Yeah, I guess. It's true. Jason and Zach's friendship, I love it, right? Like they don't focus on it a lot, but you have these moments where they're kind of like just joshing around, and I'm like, oh my God, I love you guys.
Yes.
We have that at the end as well when Billy's doing his little dancey thing, and they're like, oh my God, you can't even get a date. And Zach's like, yeah, and I dance so much. I was like, this is so good. This is quality television.
Right. Was this the one? Oh, Bulk and Skull like ruined the cake, right?
Yeah.
That was this one.
Hmm.
Yes.
How many cakes have they ruined? How many?
This
I
has
feel
gotta
like
be
they've
5 or
ruined.
6.
Yeah, I feel like I've ruined a bunch of cakes.
Cakes,
Yeah.
dances, and volunteer work. That's like the consistent thing within Power
Mhm.
in this show right here. It's
Yeah.
Like there's
Right.
either a dance, or they're doing some good charity work, or there's a
Yeah.
cake that's gonna fall on Bulk specifically, and then
Yeah.
Skull.
And
So-
this had all of it. It had a dance, it had 2 cakes, and Billy's a charity case.
Yeah.
So they had
Oh my
to meet at the river.
Yes.
They're gonna meet at the river to talk
Mhm.
about the weather machine.
Yes.
And then she gets abducted by this like the weather
Yeah.
monster,
Madam Woe.
Madam
Yeah.
Woe.
Madam Woe, who
First time
also
we have a girl, by
yeah,
the way, asterisk. Go
but
ahead, Nick.
can also send other people to different dimensions.
Why
And
did
can fly and electrocute people.
And can, yeah,
they- Oh,
She controls the sun, which she never
So-
does, by the way.
yeah.
Why did we even talk about that?
Don't know.
She can control the sun.
Yeah, control
And wind.
rain, heat, and cold, and be able to send people to different dimensions.
That's just a tack on right there. Just like and be able to send them to different
How is
dimensions.
she not like the? How is she not where Rita is? Like she's so OP.
Right?
Yeah.
And she's so stoked, right? When Rita
Yeah.
calls her up, she's like, "Why did you call me?" And Rita's like, "You can control the sun." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm on board. Let's do this."
But she also doesn't have all the facts. She like
Yes.
kidnaps the person. Like, what are the Power Rangers? She doesn't know. Rita
Yeah.
clearly didn't do a debrief or whatever. But also, Rita is getting lazy with her plans, right? Like she's
Yeah,
watching
she
the
is.
Rangers, and Bulk falls into a cake, and she goes, "This will be a piece of cake." And then she has the same.
That's just the biggest reach. Just like, yeah. It's like, oh, maybe she did a dance monster. It's like, ooh, cake. No, weather dimensional woman. I'll send that.
There's no link even. This episode felt really like had no story, had a random monster, and then it just kind of like was like splooshed together.
But I did like that Madame Woe was like just her own Like they didn't make Madame Woe. She was just existing, doing spells or something. I don't know what she was doing, but like they show a
She's just
scene
chilling
where
on the
she's.
beach.
But she was doing whatever. She's doing something. She's
She was
on
like
her own.
worshiping the
Yeah.
sun, or I don't know.
Yeah, maybe something like that, some ritual or something like that. And I just thought that was nice. Like it's different. Again, it's just like
Mhm.
It makes me
Yeah.
believe she can control the sun without me
Yeah.
actually seeing that she can do it. You know,
Yeah. She was definitely doing some sun controlling.
sun controlling. Yeah.
Yeah.
like that.
So she gets abducted into a different dimension, and then Zordon tells them that they can use their power coins together and do this super cool thing. And I thought it was gonna be cooler than what we got. Nope. They got sucked into the different dimension, and then it was just a way for Billy to get out to do a 1v1 with this witch
Yeah.
which was cool because it's nice to get like have Billy have that moment of like it was an intense fight too. Like they were going at he was like grabbing her, throwing. They were like going back and forth. It was a really good fight.
Yeah.
And then I remember during that fight, I was like, what are the other Rangers doing? And it's literally just a shot of them just standing around.
Yeah. They're just waiting.
But they can't do anything.
Stuck in
They
the
literally
dimension.
can't.
Just making sure Marge is okay.
Yeah.
Which
I
we
mean,
only get her name like 10 minutes into the episode. They don't say her name until Billy goes, I found Marge's necklace. I was like, oh, that's who that
Her
is.
name's Marge.
Who's Marge?
How do you know who Marge is?
And
Can you imagine?
Billy was
goes
doing
into
his
the
own
thing.
research
Right?
on his way to the lake.
Yeah, I'm gonna like, what was that girl I asked out? Marge. Oh yeah. And then he goes into the dimension. He's like, Marge, are you okay? And that girl didn't question it. She's not like, why do you know my name?
Well, she's like, okay, well, she's like, are you a Power Ranger? And it's like, what have they been? Have they existed this whole time? Like, what do you guys?
Yeah.
Isn't
But
there this
nobody
whole
knows what
thing?
they look like up close.
I never thought of that. Yeah,
They're like, yeah, just the weird, brightly colored teenagers in the news footage. That's the Power Rangers.
Nobody knows their teens.
Yeah.
They're-
Oh yeah, they're just
I thought
like
they
human.
did.
No,
No,
Ernie
they
thinks
just
they're
know
aliens.
anything about them.
Oh,
yeah.
well, that's Jason's fault. But yeah,
that does make
okay.
sense though that they like only know them from afar. So it's
Yeah.
like
Fair enough.
because I thought I was like, what do you mean? Like, are they the Power? Like, what are they doing this whole time?
They have these in-depth knowledge about who the Power Rangers are, who Rita Repulsa is, but they don't know what they look like, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, that makes that seals up that hole in my logic now.
But I also like that she gets brought to the other dimension and immediately goes, Billy? I'm like, what? Why'd you call him Billy?
Because she was supposed to meet him, and she's like, what?
This is part of the weather machine.
This is it.
This
She's
is
like,
it. It makes the whole sky dark.
Takes me to a totally
I don't
different
think-
land.
I don't think we have to talk about anything, Billy. If this is your weather machine, you got it. It's so good.
I guess that's the connection, actually. The weather machine, the Madam Woe, she controls the weather. That's
She controls the weather.
That's
Yes.
the connection. Okay, now I'm
That's
seeing
the
it.
connection.
Yeah.
Billy
That's-
has an unseen weather machine.
Weather machine, Madam Woe. It's like the third degrees of separation.
Mhm.
It was there was I was
Oh
telling
my
Nick too,
God.
this one moment. It was another Billyism where like I think it was Trini who said like, "Oh, we gotta move to dodge or something," and Billy goes with alacrity, and then you just hear Zach go, "Say what?" And I just really appreciate it. Like in the middle of battle, they took the time to do that.
Yeah,
mean,
and
if-
Billy, when they show up, he said something weird. I didn't write it down, but he didn't say "I'm glad to see you." He was like, there was like a weird way he said it.
Said something, Billy.
Yeah.
Something
But
Billy.
it's also funny too because in my headcanon, like Rita really wants to ruin this date. Like she's like, meet them at the lake, not anywhere else. Like specifically this time when Billy's supposed to have his date with this girl, she's like, that's the moment where
That would have been good
motivation.
motivation. That
We
would've-
know where they live. We know where they hang out. But
Yeah.
meet them at this lake.
But that
You
would
know,
have been a great reason. If like her reason was I want to screw up this date, so go after that ranger. Like I would have actually accepted that better than this is gonna be a piece of cake. Like that was that was all we got. So I'd rather some more motivation for Rita.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Sure,
And I like
Billy's going to be on his own without the other Rangers. That's one motivation. Or, you know, I want to mess up this one child's date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had like a little generational shock when he like called the Rangers and like all of, like Jason when Jason has to talk on his like communicator, he like pulls everybody in. And it's like, what do you like they can all hear you. They all have the same communicator. It's more it's more like
Yeah.
it's more suspicious that you guys are all getting together to listen to whatever this little voice is coming out of your wrist. But I was like, this is technically a smartwatch, right? Like
Yeah.
they just have that can teleport them and
Yeah.
talk to one another.
But in 1993, so it's
But
a
in 19
it's a Casio calculator watch.
right,
like a
right.
And it's way more
Speakerphone.
suspicious for 5 people to listen to one watch than it is for them to listen to their own
The
individual
individual.
watches
No,
at the same time.
Because there'll be feedback if they all turned on their phones. Right? It's like when you're in the room
True.
with
That
and
makes
then
sense.
Yeah, and then it's extra loud if they're all listening to Zordon. Like, and everyone's in the room and they could hear like a bunch of people talking to their watches. I feel like when you pull together, and then they're just kind of huddling, people will be like, "Oh, those friends are being weird again."
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll answer my phone like when I'm at working, because like my brother will call me or my mom will call me, and it's just to tell them like, hey, I'm working, and I'll answer it through my watch, and I always feel like like a Power Ranger a little bit.
Yeah.
Just the answer, like, hey, I'm work right now. That's it.
Nice.
I'll see you later.
Oh, those color-coded teenagers are talking to their watch again. That's what they do before they disappear for 3 hours every week.
You know what?
Coincidentally, during the monster
That's
attack.
why the principal thinks they're punks. He's like, they're
That,
probably,
you know what? Yeah.
Mhm.
they're probably doing drugs somewhere. Like he has this, like he's like they always skip in class and like huddling and leaving. He thinks of
Mhm.
them as this like rowdy group of teens when really they're like
Yeah.
really nice.
These
They're the
acts
nice
of service are just
Yeah.
ways on their
They're just a
conscience.
front.
Yeah.
It's just a front.
Yeah.
They're not
I do
actually
cultural
participating
day
in the
today
parade.
so that I can
Yeah.
dunk a kid in a dumpster tomorrow.
Yeah, well, what this episode, in the last episode, Billy makes Bulk cry, like literally makes Bulk,
Mhm.
brought him to tears. And Bulk is like, like, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The ending of this episode, they defeat the monster, they get everything back. Everything just goes back to like their normal thing. The dance happens, and then I feel so bad for Bulk and Skull because they just want to party.
Yeah.
They're not even there to bother anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like watching people. I love their little disguises because,
Yeah.
and I love that they did a close up, but also a wide shot because they really looked out of place in their little disguises. Like it's just like Bulk and Skull standing there in these like oversized trench coats with a bunch of teenagers dancing.
Yeah.
That's quality stuff. But
Mhm.
also earlier, I think it's Zach mentions this is the biggest dance of your life. But why? Like you go to the
Because
end
it's
and
high
it seems
school. Every
like
dance
a
is the
normal
biggest dance of your life.
Yeah. And
I
then
don't know.
Bulk, his toes. I just can't. Like it's like stuff from my nightmares. I don't want to see that. So
For free? For free?
So in New
Not
Girl,
just for free, he's giving them money.
he's giving them
Yeah.
money. Yeah. In New Girl, there was an episode where they showed Nick's feet and they're like black, like how Bulk's is. And I'm like, I will never forgive this character for doing that. And now I feel the same way about Bulk. I'm like, no, wash your feet. And he's holding it in his toes like this is the money, right? Like,
Yeah.
why
That's the
are you
bank.
walking around like that? Like, why isn't it like just in your shoe?
Right.
Like, why are you holding
Right.
it in your
Mhm.
toes? It's like the
Okay,
weirdest-
well,
That's how he
he's-
counts it.
I don't know. I had this feeling that that's like actually where he keeps his money, you
Mhm.
know? And
Oh, for
I
sure.
felt kind of bad when people were because he like genuinely is like, okay, yeah, like we'll pay for the cake. Like he's not
Yeah.
being malicious in any
Yeah.
way. He like takes
Yeah.
off his shoe, and unfortunately, that's where he keeps his money, and
Yeah.
everyone just hates him for it. And you're like, oh,
And-
that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
but
is
it
where he
is
keeps his
disgusting.
money because Skull knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
prepared for it.
Well,
This
it's
was
it's weird because in this that with that scene, and then even in the last episode, they really are trying to hammer in that Bulk is a slob because like his locker is stuck. It opens up, and then just like excessive
and
amounts of
snakes.
food fall out of the locker, and I'm just like, why? Just why? Like that's the question. Why? Why would you put that much food in his lock? Like why would you make that a thing for him to have? And then the next episode, oh, his feet are really dirty and smelly, and it's just like, what are you
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
trying to tell us?
Is
about,
he
like,
okay?
yeah, that's what I was asking at the end of this
Probably
episode.
doesn't
Like,
have
is
the
he
best home
okay?
life, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, and that makes it. I know I'm all like a Bulk and Skull sympathizer. Like I've been since the beginning, but it just like I feel so sad for them all the time. I feel
Mhm.
like there's stuff going on there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. And Ernie takes the money.
yeah, he does take the money, so that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then he like dances.
it was so weird.
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, they're giving this like an odd amount of attention
Yeah.
to watch Ernie dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel I'm starting to feel bad for Bulk and Skull. And
Mhm.
like I don't remember them a lot of being, we said this before, I don't remember them being like too big of a bully. They're more of
Mhm.
like an annoyance or like a nuance, like a
Yeah.
nuisance to the group than like them actually coming in and like being being like this like antagonizing force.
Mhm.
Most
Yeah.
of the time it's like they're actually like trying to discover who the Power Rangers are,
Mm.
and the Power Rangers have to like work around Bulk and Skull because they don't want to like hurt them or anything. But they also
Yeah.
have to like keep their secret identity, and I feel like that's where their characters become more admirable and like less this kind of sad mess of being bullies.
Yeah, and you know
Yeah.
why it's so interesting to have Akil here? Because he doesn't know what they're like. So he, in the beginning, was like, Minhas, these guys suck. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're like just misunderstood and like little
Yeah.
babies. And Akil's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. But I think like what Nick was saying just now is that the suckiness is definitely hammed up. It's definitely exaggerated.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see that more and more now. Like before it was just comic relief, but now it's like the writers have a vendetta against these two
They
characters.
do. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
kind of not fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they get food on their face like every single episode now. Like
Mhm.
it's just like one of those like the world and the universe doesn't want them to succeed, especially
Mhm.
going back if you know that Bulk was once the holder of the record for doing those pull-ups or
Yeah.
whatever.
The bench
And
presses,
I
yeah.
feel like everything's gone downhill. Like something probably has happened in their lives that has ruined it. Because now he's like stumbling. His locker's a mess. He doesn't wash his feet.
He skateboard though. That's
He
pretty
does.
cool.
Oh yeah, and he still
Guys,
has
does
this.
Bulk have depression?
Probably.
Is that what's going on?
Who knows?
He's just trying to cope with his mental illness.
Yeah, and Skull is like #1 kind of fan almost.
Yeah,
Yeah, he teases him, but yeah.
Man,
barely.
These-
He like laughs too much at his jokes. That's it.
these episodes.
Well,
are
no,
deep.
if something happens to him, he'll laugh at him. Like if he falls in
Yeah.
cake and stuff. Like if something misfortunate happens, he'll like laugh.
But that's like a, hey, Bulk, we're laughing at funny situations, even if it happens to us. You remember how to laugh, right? Oh, I just
Yeah.
made myself sad.
No, Bulk and Skull, yeah, they have a special place in my heart. And
Mhm.
especially as the seasons go on and like Skull gets more and more in love with Kimberly, like it just like I'm like, oh,
How many times does Kimberly get like mind controlled and like or like like out of it? Like
Things
I
happen
don't
to her a
know.
lot.
The episode, sorry again, Akil spoilers. The episode where it was a love potion.
right. Okay.
Yeah. And she like was tricked into falling in love with Skull.
Right.
Which
right.
I think is more painful than this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they actually have a little like mini relationship.
I just think back to Turbo, the movie, where she was
Yeah.
like possessed by the
Oh,
volcano
yeah.
twin.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
my
how
god.
many times is Kimberly like
She's almost the Daphne of the Scooby Doo, like it's kinda
Yeah.
like that. Because there's another episode I remember where her and Tommy like hate each other. They get like trip over. They go through this like field or whatever, this like force energy field that makes them angry at each other. And so I'm just like, there's a lot of episodes where Kimberly has her mind warped.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a great comic story, like how that's actually affected her, like her actual
Yeah.
well-being. You know, like I've just been messed with so many times.
do you
I think Rita
Kimberly
has. Sorry,
And
go ahead.
in one of the upcoming episodes, her and Billy switch bodies. So
Oh
man.
yeah.
there's a lot.
Spoiler filled for Akil today. He's
That's
just
fine.
good. He's just
What were you
getting-
saying about Rita?
She has like particular vendettas against each of the Rangers, right?
Yeah.
She does the same thing with each of the Rangers, but different to each other.
Oh,
That-
I do agree with Rita like having this like personal vendetta against like all of them. Like I feel like she cares about them in some weird kind of way.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
like it's so funny too. I think both of these episodes, she's like, I have a headache. Like this is like so frustrating. She can't like
Yeah.
deal with them like ever.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Do you feel like Kimberly was like a past mean girl?
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like she was, right?
Quite possible.
Yeah.
I-
And
I
it
can
goes
see
back
it.
to that 2017 movie.
Yeah,
Again,
she was
it's
a
full
mean girl.
circle. Yeah. I
Man.
think Kimberly's still kind of mean. And I think like Jason has still his like anger. Like you can really see it seeping
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
I think Trini is pretty much the saving grace. Like she like brings the best out of everyone. She
Yes.
makes Kimberly feel like be nice. She makes Jason be nice. I think Zach's kind of Zach. Like I don't think he has any. He's just chilling. I don't think he has any like.
Zach, the only like big thing in the comic books is like he has this like feeling of not like there's a couple arcs where like he's in the shadow of Jason. So they kind of like explore that kind of relationship a little bit. I think in the comics he was originally offered the Green Ranger power.
Yep.
Instead of Tommy, because he was like feeding into this negative energy of like Jason always getting the glory and Jason always being like the center because he's a Red Ranger. They don't really explore that here because like Zach is just a fun guy.
Yeah,
he's just always.
I feel like was there an episode where he kind of feels?
Yeah, it was his birthday.
Yeah.
It was Zach's birthday where
But
it was like
yeah, okay, maybe yeah.
he was like really sad that everybody forgot about it. I was like, he is emotional. He's an emotional guy. He walked out into the desert or whatever that thing was because everybody forgot his birthday. It's like this guy's a drama queen and it's fine. Like he's just
I love
upset.
that. I love that. You know what? You'd be upset. I also would be upset.
She said her dog's birthday. That's what's wrong with her.
Kimberly's mean.
She's so mean.
That's so funny. Well, I think that's like all the time we have for this week's episode. Thanks for joining us. I'm Minhas, and I'm joined with Akil, Nick, and Nuv. And until next time.
Once a Ranger, always a Ranger.